Welcome back to the Content Swap Podcast. You're joined by Parker and
Aaliyah.
And if this is your first time tuning in to the podcast, this is a podcast where we both assign each other a piece of content at the end of the episode, and then the following week we engage with that content, whether it is a movie, show, book, or video game. Sometimes a podcast. We did that once. And then we talk about it during the episode. So later we're going to be talking about the two pieces of content in the title, which, if you read the title, should be dope, and the Transformers, the movie from 1986.
Yes. And we apologize. We skipped a week. That was because we both just needed a break.
We just needed a break. We needed a chance to do some other things that we enjoyed doing. I think part of it had to do with the fact that I signed the Transformers movie and you didn't want to watch it.
It wasn't. I was just tired.
Yeah.
I was just tired, and I wasn't interested in either of our movies. I was just I just don't want to. And so at the time, I was excited this week to watch them, but last week I was just I just need a break. I think I just am burnt out and I need a break.
Yeah, I think when you brought it up, I was a little relieved. I was like, oh, okay, you know what? Yes, please.
It took you a minute to come.
I know. At first, I was
you were like, I don't know.
But the people don't know that we're taking a break.
I was then tell them. What people? That too. I was like, what people?
Yeah. Well, I mean, hopefully the people listening to this are the ones that are like, whoa, yeah, well, there was a hiatus.
Hiatus. It was just a week.
Yeah. No, it was just 1 week, but yeah, we needed a little time to just relax a little bit, do something else. Which ended up for me looking like spending a whole weekend playing Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which was also got me burnt out on that. So I think too much of any one thing can really.
For somebody who's burnt out, you're sure playing it still.
Yeah. Yeah. I think on Monday I was like, yeah, I can't. I gotta cool it with this game, and that looked like taking a day off. Because I think come Tuesday I was back up and at it again. But I mean, even playing it this weekend, I've played it a good amount this weekend, and I'm just kind of feeling the magic has kind of worn off. I know kind of everything to expect at this point. I still have one of the 4 temples left to do in a corner of the map, but I'm really just trying to clear out everything else before I get there. And yeah, I'm kind of at a point where I'm there's not much new to see. I'm just kind of running chores around this big map, trying to just, clear all the dots, find all the shrines, fill out the whole underground section, go to any, sky section that's got me all intrigued because I still haven't been there and it looks a little different. But for the most part, Or I gotta kill these 3-headed dragons. I haven't killed a single 3-headed dragon. But anyway, for the most part, with that game, I'm kind of I'm at the point where I'm what more is left that can make me go wow? Because I think I've seen it all. There's my little two week update on Zelda. I'm hoping to finish it soon. I mean, but also no rush. I mean, the new Final Fantasy game comes out this Thursday, and I'm really excited for that. I'll probably devote more time towards that than playing Zelda, but it's nice to have Zelda in the background because it's something that I can just sit and play whenever, if I need to fill the time, and it's on the Switch, so I can play it, wherever. Anyway, and I played a little Street Fighter, but not too much. Not enough to comment on. What's new with you?
Not much. I think part of why I was glad to have a break is I spent last weekend with my bestie girl. Shout outs to Ashley. So that was really fun just to get out of the house.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that I'm going to spend the whole summer just in a house, and I don't want to. I want to make sure I'm enjoying the beautiful weather, enjoying where we are.
Yeah.
So it was really nice to go and explore and just be out. We sat at a park and just talked. It was so nice. Other than that, not too much stuff I'm engaging with. I'm still not reading. I still have not finished this book that I was hoping to finish by this week. So we'll see if I finish that next week.
Okay.
Have been like playing Disney Dreamlight Valley here and there. Yeah, kind of like whenever I just like don't want to read. And then started crocheting. That was fun. That was my weekend thing.
You made a little mushroom today.
I did. I named her Gemma.
Yeah.
Yep, she's over there.
Should have shown her off. She's like just off camera.
You can follow me at Cozy Constellation on Instagram and see her.
The Cozy Constellation?
The Cozy Constellation.
All one word.
Yes. But yeah, I love tasks that involve my hands, which I think is why I love Lego so much. Because I love like not looking at a screen, just like fiddling with things, moving things. And like my friend Ashley had taught me how to knit a while back. I have forgotten. I knit it like one scarf and that was it. But I liked the repetitiveness of it and like just like, what is it? Muscle memory. And so I was like, oh, I want to pick up crocheting things. It's like crochet things are just so cute. So I was like, I want to try and learn it. It is so freaking hard at first. It's like you're learning another language. There's so many like little acronyms for like the different types of stitches, and I was like, I don't know what this means. I don't know what any of this means. But once I got it, and I was like, okay, I see what to do here now. I understand. I can do it.
I can appreciate it. I mean, it's a lot of work. Yeah. I don't think there's space in my brain for that skill.
Yeah. I mean, that one little mushroom, granted, I started over like a million times yesterday. So I started it yesterday. First time ever crocheting anything. It went terribly for like the first 4 attempts. No, first 3 attempts. 4th attempt, I was like, I think like something like click. It was like a switch. And I was like, oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. I know what to do. And so then that mushroom, it took me, I don't know, hours to make that one mushroom. And it's like, it's like this big. It's not huge.
It looks great.
It's a little
this
lumpy.
Big as in like what, 6 inches, 5 inches?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a little lumpy. She's a little lopsided. But I mean, what mushroom is perfect, you know? You go out into the world.
True.
You're
never going to find a perfect mushroom out there.
Yeah, I'm sure there are. But you know, they all look different. They all have their characteristics. So
yeah,
I love her, and I handmade her. I want to get good at it and like make toys for my niece and our future children. Like, yeah, I don't know. Someone messaged me. Shout outs to Nayeli. She was like, that's so cute. If you sell them, I will buy them all. I was like, I am not because I have no clue what I'm doing. I was like,
I mean, you could. If you
I
do
need
it
to
enough,
get better.
I mean, like because I imagine starting out, you'd probably just be making like something that somebody else has made.
Kits, yeah.
Right. But if you do it enough and you learn enough and you make your own original stuff, you could very much sell that. Very well sell that.
Definitely. Yeah.
We'll Something to think about.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't want to monetize all my hobbies, you know? Some stuff is just for the fun of it.
I mean, I would say all of my hobbies are for the fun of it.
Yeah.
I realize, have yet to monetize any of them.
I realize when I do monetize a hobby, I burn out. Like that's what happened with, I used to draw a lot and I loved drawing and it was so fun. And I started making stickers and I would like sell the stickers. And then people started asking me for commissions, which is like wild because I'm not that great of a artist. I just like to doodle.
I liked your stickers. I was one of those people that bought your stickers.
Yeah. But I started getting like people being like, oh, can you draw me this? Oh, can you draw me this? Oh, can you draw me this? And I hated it, and it like made me hate drawing, and I have not drawn since.
You haven't really drawn anything since then.
Yeah, and
every time I ask you or tell you, oh yeah, you're a great drawer, you should draw this, you're like,
I'm like, no, I hate it, don't talk to me about it.
I'm not a good drawer. I don't like drawing.
I'm really not compared to all the artists out there.
No, you are a good drawer. You are a good drawer. Don't sell yourself short.
I don't feel that I am, but I like to doodle. But yeah, no, it really ruined things for me, and I just I still can't pick it up and like draw. I think I drew something a month ago, and then I was like, oh yeah, drawing, and then I didn't draw again after that. So Yeah. So I get worried about when I pick up a hobby and someone's like, oh, you should like start selling it or you should do that. I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, it's tough. Like when you have any hobby and you're like posting about it.
Yeah.
If people start telling you like, oh, you should do this or you should do that, then it gets kind of like, oh, I'm not trying to take this that seriously.
Yeah.
You know?
But I mean, I appreciate it. This was not to like be like shaming beautiful Nayeli for what she said.
Oh, no.
I absolutely appreciate it. It makes me happy that someone like enjoys it enough to be like, oh my gosh, if you make this, like, I want to support, I want to like buy it. Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, it's a way of showing love towards that person. Like, hey, you make this thing. If you want to sell it, I'd support that.
Yeah.
You know,
for sure.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. But we'll see. Maybe I do end up selling it. Selling stuff once I get better. Definitely when I get better, not now.
Yeah.
Not one day into learning how to crochet.
For sure, yeah. You're already getting ahead, but
I know.
Yeah.
But yeah. But other than that, that's all that's really going on. Just trying to figure out. I have so many hobbies, trying to figure out like which one is like I'm in the mood for.
Yeah, I feel that. I mean, like I like writing reviews. Apparently not right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Long pause.
Yep. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump into our content.
Okay. That sounds good. I believe first this week is Dope. So, all right, you assigned me this. It's called Dope. It came out in 2015. It's a movie, and it stars Shameik Moore. I have two things here. I have a short summary, which is like really just a whole lot of nothing. Like it's barely anything. And then I have like a longer summary that I could read.
That is entirely too long.
Okay, that's what you said about How to Train Your Dragon, but then it ended up being great. So
that is a whole essay.
No, okay. Speaking wise, it would not take that long. The fact that it's all written, honestly, makes it like you can give me 10 minutes and it'd be done.
I don't think there's that much to this movie. Give your short summary, and then
I'm not going to give the short summary. I'm going to read the long one.
Okay.
So Shameik Moore stars as Malcolm. That's correct, right?
I don't know.
Is his name Malcolm?
I don't remember.
All right, we're going with Malcolm. I'm pretty sure it's Malcolm. Shameik Moore stars as Malcolm. He's a bright teenager in his senior year of high school living in Inglewood, California, and him and his friends are obsessed with the 90s, claiming it's the golden age of hip-hop.
Which it is.
And yeah, that's
true.
In
my opinion.
That's true. So they're a band of nerds, literally, because they even have their own band. And if they keep things up as they're going, they'll have bright futures ahead of them. Malcolm's career counselor or guidance counselor at his high school, even sets him up with a Harvard alumni interview with one Austin Jacoby. So, you know, their biggest struggles really are just staying out of trouble from bullies in school and drug dealers in their local neighborhood.
Just a side note, sorry, I'm backtracking. The name of their band is Oreo, which I both love and hate. I love because it's like reclaiming this term that like is so offensive. And a term
Oreo?
Yeah. I mean, not in like
please explain because I have zero context for this.
Okay. When you are a black person who enjoys things that people claim are not black, and oftentimes you get called an Oreo. And it's like something that's really dumb and stupid because it's like, well, what are black things, you know? Like it basically like reaffirms a stereotype of like what a black person does or behaves like or likes. And so as a person like myself, like being in high school, and it's like if I liked the show New Girl, and so like people would be like, oh, that's such a white thing, like you're an Oreo or whatever. And it's like, what, like, why can't a black person like New Girl? Or like black people into anime? And like now it's like, I feel like a more like prevalent thing because of the internet. But like before the internet, like a black person liking anime, that's weird. That's not a black person thing. Like, so I love that their band is named Oreo because it's like reclaiming it. And that's the whole, he talks about that. He's like, you know, we like these things and we do these things. And so like, we don't fit in with this group or that group. We're kind of just like on our own. Mm-hmm. But I also hate it because it's triggering.
Gotcha. I mean, they spell it like Awreoh.
Yeah.
Like Oreo, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if that.
I mean, I don't know the significance of the spelling, but
I think yeah. It's just for the sake of spelling it differently, I guess.
Yeah. But I thought it was clever.
So anyway, yeah, they do have a band, and it is called Oreo. So their biggest struggle is, staying out of trouble from bullies in school and drug dealers in their local neighborhood. One day on the way home, Malcolm is stopped by Dom, who's one of the local drug dealers, who's played by A$AP Rocky, who asks Malcolm to go down the street and deliver a message to this young woman named Nakia, who's played by Zoe Kravitz, and to tell her that he wants to talk to her. So, you know, all because Dom is spitting some game at her, and she kind of is, but kind of isn't having it. So Malcolm gives her the message, takes her message back to Dom. They go back and forth. Dom says, all right, well, just tell her I'm having a birthday party at the club, and I want her to come. And so when Malcolm tells Nakia, oh, yeah, he's having a birthday party at this club, she's like, okay, I'll go if you save me a dance. And Malcolm is like, what? I'm just some high school kid. So he gets home to tell his friends that she said that, and they're like, dude, we gotta go to the club. So, like, you know, she wants you, boy. Sorry, that was the dumbest thing I've ever said. But they're like, she wants you, man. So he reluctantly, they try to get into the club, him and his friends, and since he's like a weird nerd kid, he brings his backpack with him.
Dumb.
I'm gonna get back on that.
I'm surprised they even let him bring a backpack.
I'm gonna get back on this backpack thing. It's in my notes for later. So they get to the club. They can't get in because they're underage. Then Dom lets them in because it's his birthday. Malcolm dances with Nakia. Dom swoops her up. Then Dom is having a drug exchange in the back room, but a rival gang comes and a battle plays out. But then the cops come. Now everybody's running. The whole thing's turning into a scene. Dom finds Malcolm's goodness. Gotta slow down. Dom finds Malcolm's backpack, gives it to him, tells him to run. Malcolm helps up Nakia. Then she takes both of them home, and they're a little flirty in the car. He's like not like the others and all that. And the next day he goes to school, and the security guard, he's got his backpack with him that he had the previous night. The security guard's dog is popping off at him, but the guard knows, like, hey, Malcolm's a good, innocent kid, so, like, you know, my dog must be malfunctioning or something. So he lets him go by. Well, when he opens up his bag later on, he finds out that all of the drugs from that deal and a gun are literally in his backpack. And it turns out that Dom had stashed it in his backpack before he gave it back to him. So he's freaking out. And Malcolm and his friends are freaking out. And then, like, the phone rings. And I'm not even sure whose phone that is. Is it a phone that's in the backpack, or is it Malcolm's phone? I think the person who
put the drugs in the backpack also put that phone in the backpack.
Okay. But then a man calls that phone. And
probably a burner phone.
Okay, sure. It's a burner phone. But this man knows that it's Malcolm on the phone, which is weird to me that he would be able to know that, because the man is like, you know, I've got Find My iPhone, so I know you're at this location. This is a kid named Malcolm. You've got the drugs that, you know, I'm supposed to get these drugs for Dom.
Unless somebody who was a part of their, like, group told it,
nobody but, because when we see it go back, when we run it back, we see that Dom put the drugs in the backpack, but then Dom gets arrested. So the only person that should know that the drugs are in the backpack is Dom. So
yeah, I don't know.
This part is kind of like weird to me. But anyway, this guy is like, yeah, I've got you're supposed to give me the drugs. I'll be in a red Impala. I'll pick them up after school. And Malcolm's like, all right, cool, easy. I can get rid of these drugs. No problem. And then at the end of school, he's going to go do just that. But then he gets a call from Dom, and Dom is in jail. And he says, yo, someone snitched. Whoever you are about to give the drugs to is probably the snitch, and he's probably going to kill you. So take the drugs to my guy, AJ, and he gives him this address where AJ is supposed to be, and it's in Ladera Heights. And Malcolm and his friends run from the red Impala and whoever is in that car, and a pursuit begins, and all of that happens. Eventually they get to the house, and a young man answers, and he says, oh, AJ, who you're looking for, is my dad, and we'll be back later. So they decide they're going to hang out, because there's also a very attractive woman named Lily, played by Chanel Iman, there, and she's rocking very minimal clothing at the moment, and she wants them to know that. So they're like, yeah, we'll hang out. Malcolm's friends are hanging out with the guy, and Malcolm is kind of shooting his shot at Lily, and she's a bit wild, and she does the drugs, and then he comes to realize that his interview with Austin Jacoby, the Harvard alumni, is today. So he's like, okay, I got to get out of here. And Lily's like, I'll drive. And she's on drugs.
He's so dumb.
He is so dumb. Yeah.
I'm like, just run.
So,
just catch the bus. Just like call a cab.
So she's driving. She's crashing into everything. And then at one point she's like, I got to pee. And she runs out of the car, and then she like pees in public, and he's like, I don't have time to
Starbucks, but they obviously can't use Starbucks, so it's like
called
a
like $7 coffee. Yeah, I thought that was a reference to The Rock's production company, because he's got a production company called like $7 Production.
I feel like that would be.
I don't think
such
it is
a weird tie.
No,
yeah.
I think it's just because it's like $7 Starbucks. Anyway, so he just takes the car and goes to the interview, which like. No ramifications for that, but we'll get back to it. At the interview, he meets Austin Jacoby, and he's looking at some picture, or he's in his office waiting for Austin Jacoby. And he's looking at the pictures in Austin Jacoby's office, and he sees pictures of the two, of Lily and that other guy, in this guy's office, and he realizes that the AJ that he was supposed to meet is Austin Jacoby, AJ. And Malcolm is like, he meets Austin Jacoby, and he's like, Dom, he told me to give you this package, and I have it for you. And speaking in code, Austin Jacoby, aka AJ, tells him in code, basically, well, my drug dealer Dom is now in jail, and now I need you to go sell these drugs for me in a few weeks' time. Let's, quote unquote, reschedule this interview, and if you can sell those drugs, I'll get you into Harvard. But it's all in code.
And he talks like this.
Yeah,
it's like a whisper the whole time, and I'm like, what are you? Who directed him to speak like that?
He is a weird man.
He's so strange.
And then this next part I can just breeze through because it's really quite simple. Malcolm and his friends, being as smart as they are, use the powers of social media, Bitcoin, and the dark web to sell the drugs. And then
with the help of the dude from Workaholics.
From the help of Blake Anderson from Workaholics.
Literally love him.
And then they get Bitcoin, they get money, they go back to, or Malcolm goes back to AJ for his interview weeks later, and he says, hey, we were successful, we got you the money, we got you some Bitcoin too, it's all in your account because we hacked you, and here you go, it's yours, I'm done. And AJ is impressed. And then Malcolm gets into Harvard, and maybe Nakia is taking a liking to him, and that's the end.
I feel like that at the end, though, like even though he like makes the money for AJ, he kind of like sets a trap as well.
Oh yeah,
because he's like, if you try and like change your Bitcoin to money or whatever, there's a chance you could get tracked, and like.
Right.
I don't know, but like you have to be really real careful. Yeah, or like you'd be really
It'd
stupid.
have to be pretty intentional for you to get tracked.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like, was that like a dig at him of like, you made me do this and I'm like upset at you for making me do this.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that last part is honestly like the last third of the movie, but I felt like I could really just breeze through it because they don't struggle through that really at all. And so I didn't really feel like there was anything really noteworthy to bring up as far as like the overall structure of the story. It's just like they meet up with Blake Anderson. He's like, all right, I'll connect you. They then decide to have a party. Yeah. And their band plays. Their band is super popular. Then everybody's like, hey, we love these drugs. We're going to call these drugs Lily because her peeing in public earlier in the movie on these very drugs like went viral. So they're like, oh, we're all doing Lily.
I mean, I think where the tension is like, one, they decide to like use the school as their place to like package the drugs and everything.
That's right.
And so there's the tension of, okay, if he gets caught, that there goes like his chances of getting at Harvard. Like, he's such a good kid. Like, you don't want something bad to happen to him. But also the stress of all this is like making him like, it's like changing who he is. And
that's true.
There's a point where Lakeith Stanfield is in this movie, and he's kind of like a bully, and he like keeps messing with Malcolm. And at one point they have all this money in a bag because they had transferred the Bitcoin to like real money. And so they had all this money, and Lakeith takes it, and Malcolm like pulls a gun out on him. Yeah. And it's like this really like scary moment because you're like, this is not him. Like, you don't want him to do this. And Lakeith is like, whatever, man. Like, I'm leaving. Like, no need to do that. And then his friends are just kind of like, are you okay? Because it's like, this is not you. And like, you've been put in this position where like you're having to do this.
He like had to do that. That was like a big moment because, Lakeith is just messing with him. He's like, I literally, like, my future depends on that money. So I do not care. I am pulling this gun on you. But yeah, Lakeith gives it back to him. Big growth moment. There's also like a moment where they get the money, and there's like this whole, I don't know, metaphor about a bag and whether it's fake or not. I don't really remember it very well. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, yeah, okay, you're right. There was a lot there. I guess when I was writing my summary earlier, I just kind of was like, yeah, I didn't really struggle through this part. He just kind of then went and did it, and that was it, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's basically the movie. I mean, Nakia, Zoe Kravitz's character, he like asks her to prom, and she's like, I didn't go to my prom, but I was upset that I didn't go to Six Flags the next day. And she kind of like stands him up to his prom, but then he ends up just like meeting up with her, and she's like, I didn't care about not going to prom, I cared about Six Flags. So she like kisses him on the cheek, and it's like, we're going to Six Flags tomorrow. And then, he gets into Harvard, and it's like, woo. He also shaved his hair.
Did he get into Harvard? Did we see that?
You don't officially see that he gets into Harvard, but you see that he's got an envelope, right. Which like it's the big square envelope,
which is
an acceptance. Yeah. And when he looks at it, he like he smirks and looks directly at the camera to basically say like, "Ha, yeah, did it."
Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of the movie. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. There are, I think, a few holes in the plot that I will talk about in a second. But just looking at it overall, like it's very entertaining. I really like how it's shot. I don't remember the director's name, but
his name is Rick. Rick, I forget his last name.
Is it Rick Famuyiwa?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. He's great. He's also done episodes of The Mandalorian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I looked him up. It's pretty much like this movie, some other stuff I can't quite remember, and then like 6 or so episodes of The Mandalorian. I'm like, that makes total sense. Because I feel like just like the shot expertise and style of this, like it just all of that fits in my head somehow. Yeah, no, I mean, this movie's just really entertaining. And I like kind of all that, like the subtext that it's playing with, like you were mentioning. Yeah, what were you mentioning? The like the Oreo.
Yeah,
band.
like what it means to be like a black kid growing up in a certain context.
Yes.
But like also having these characteristics that maybe like make you feel different than the context that you're in.
Right.
And there's a lot of that. And also there's like a lot of like one of my favorite parts is at the very end, he's writing his essay to Harvard. And I forget the questions they ask you like for your personal statement, and he like types. He's like, if I were white, would you ask me this question? And so like there's just like a lot of moments like that of like what it means to be black.
Oh well, he's like, so why do I want to go to Harvard? If I was white, would you even ask me that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it is like a solid movie. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say. I guess I like that. I like that whole like he's trying to be one thing, but the world around him, it kind of feels like has other plans in mind for him, and he's kind of like fighting that, and is successful in the end. So yeah, good movie. Now for the plot holes in the mention. Well, okay, there is this whole like, how did the guy know that was Malcolm on the phone?
If he snitched on Dom, then he had to have known. I mean, just because, like, in the chaos of things, it looks like Dom puts the stuff in the backpack, but that's not to say somebody didn't see him or notice him do that. And so, I mean, yes, it's like the chances of that are slim because everyone was running because there was like a shootout, but I mean, possible.
Well, on the topic of the backpack, I said I was going to come back to this. So much of the plot in what happens in the situation he gets himself put into is a direct result of his decision to bring his backpack to the club, which the whole plot is contingent on that, and there is no real explanation for why he brought his backpack to the club at all, other than like he's a nerdy kid who would bring his backpack wherever he goes, but there's no like defining characteristic or trait or indicator that would say like, yes, character is supposed to bring backpacks to the club. That is going to be an obvious thing. And it's instead it's just this kind of like throwaway decision of like, yeah, why did he bring his backpack to the club? And then he just gets put into this whole situation because of that. Yeah. That's like my one problem with the movie. Yeah.
I mean, don't they at some point poke fun at it? Like, doesn't A$AP Rocky like, why'd you bring your backpack? Like,
yeah, but that doesn't explain why he brought his backpack.
I do, like, I know of people who have, like, especially when we were younger, like, they carried their backpack everywhere. And it's like, why are you wearing, like, a backpack everywhere you go? Like, it's just, like, that was just their style choice, you know? Like,
yeah, I would have, if I was to go back and rewrite the movie, I would have added in a little something.
Yeah.
About, like, why is he bringing his backpack?
My question is, and I mean, this was 2015, but I'm like, there's no way a freaking club is letting someone bring a backpack in there, because like, what if they do have a weapon?
They weren't gonna let him bring his backpack into the club. It was because A$AP Rocky let him into the club, and the bouncer wasn't even gonna let Malcolm and his friends into the club. But that wasn't because of the backpack. No, but he wasn't going to let them in anyway because he knew that they were underage. But then A$AP Rocky and his friends jumped the bouncer and were like, come on in. Yeah. And like it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, that's true.
One way or another, because, you know, they're getting in illegally whether we like it or not. Mm-hmm. So yeah, backpack acquired. Yeah. Inside the club, but like it's still not clear why on earth he thought to bring it.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's a kid. And he'd never been to a club before. I'm sure he's
like, I'm going to need hand sanitizer.
Oh. I'm sure he just didn't think about it. It was like, I carry my backpack with me everywhere, so.
Well, yeah, there's that. And then the other thing is like, I guess there are just some parts or some scenes or some details that I don't think are necessarily pushing the plot forward. They're just kind of happening in tandem with the plot. Yeah. So, like, when he needs to get he's with Lily, and that whole scene is like not entirely necessary, but at the same time it's like he's a young kid, so he's like trying to get some action however he can find it. But like when he leaves to go to his interview and she's driving him, and then she goes and pees in public and he takes over driving the car, he sees the other guy, I forgot the other guy's name, but the Lily's brother, driving away from the cops. And then we get a whole rewind of like, oh, Malcolm's friends went with that guy to go get some food, and then that guy got into a fight with like the snitch guy that was chasing them earlier, and like shots were fired, and then now the police is chasing that guy, and then we have like no idea what happens to that guy after. And it's like it's just kind of like his friends didn't writing the plot wise. Yeah, his friends didn't need to be hanging out with that guy at all. They didn't need to be. I guess it's just like a reason to put his friends somewhere that it's not where he is.
Well, no, I think it did serve the plot because the friends went with him, the snitch guy followed them.
Right.
And so when they have this altercation with the brother who the friends went with and the snitch, the police come and they arrest the snitch. So the snitch is no longer an issue.
Right.
Because they get arrested at the food place. The cops start chasing the guy, and I think the only reason to like have that scene is just like to create more tension of like Malcolm is doing like illegal things, and like, oh no, the cops are like out and about, and like, oh, he's following that guy that I know, like, oh my gosh, this is like super stressful. And then like, where's my friends? Like, they went with him, like, what are they up to, type of thing.
Okay.
So I think it's just to create more tension, like more stress.
Yeah.
But
okay.
Yeah.
That's all fine and dandy. However, like, I get that. That makes sense. Yeah. I can roll with that. However, like that guy and Lily, who was peeing in public, like they just don't come up in the plot of the movie at all after that. They're just gone.
Lily does, because they named the drug Lily.
Well, yeah, they named the drug Lily,
she
but like
goes viral.
Yeah, but she's not.
I mean,
she herself, her character is not part of that.
Except for she was hooking up with Blake.
Well, it turns out in the past, yes, she was hooking up with Blake's character, but also like not that detail doesn't serve the plot. It's just fun. But like their characters just exit the movie, but they are literally this like drug lord's children. Mm-hmm. And Malcolm is now like, oh, I got to go sell this drug lord's drugs. Yeah. But the drug lord has no like feelings about what's going on with his kids. It's like the kids as a detail just disappear, and now it's just Malcolm and the drugs, and you know, who cares about those guys? Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. The only thing I can say is just like the kids were the mechanism for finding or for realizing who AJ was. Yeah. And so yeah, and also the kids are just like wild. Yeah, so they are wild. Like, they bring more chaotic energy to like the situation that Malcolm is facing. I think if you didn't have them, it wouldn't be as entertaining. You know? I'm not necessarily advocating for getting rid of them from the plot. Yeah. I would have just done more with them. Yeah. Yeah. Like I would have followed up on what happened to them, because they were both just kind of left on cliffhangers, and I guess like they'll get their comeuppance as characters. Yeah. I would have liked to see more of the brother. I couldn't have cared less about Lily's character. Sure. I think I even said when we were watching it, I was like, what is the point? What's her character for? Yeah, I was like, what is she here for? Just, other than like sex appeal. Right. So yeah, so I agree that they probably could have done a little bit more with at least the guy, because I thought he was funny. Yeah. He was interesting. But you know, only so much you can do in a movie, I guess. Fair enough. Well, yeah, I mean, that's all I had to say. Got you. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. I wasn't sure if you were going to like it or not. Why wouldn't I? I don't know. I don't know. I thought you would just find it like too stressful, and like... I like stressful movies. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. I like stressful movies. I like it when a movie can make me feel like tension. You know? Like, oh no, what's gonna happen?
That's true.
Yeah. No, I was invested, and I liked Malcolm as a character. I thought like it was just fun, you know.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like as somebody that was a teenage male at one point, seeking or hoping for female attention, I can understand his plight.
Yuck. I'm kidding.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
So yeah, I liked it. It was a good main character.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love his character. Well, I do have a few facts. There's not too much, and then I have 2 questions for you. So the first is that, and I don't know how true this is, but I found it on multiple sites. Apparently, this was the first movie to accept Bitcoins for ticket purchases.
Saw that. I didn't mean to see that, but it came up when I was looking for a plot synopsis to figure out like a certain detail, to remember a certain detail correctly. It came up in the trivia. I was like, so okay. So anyway, let's not ignore the fact that you just said they accepted Bitcoin.
They accepted Bitcoin for ticket purchases at over 900 theaters in the U.S. through a website called movietickets.com.
That's honestly like super wild.
That's weird.
Yeah.
It's super weird.
In 2015 especially, because like Bitcoin didn't really blow up until maybe 3-4 years after that.
There was another fact that said this was the first movie to ever mention Bitcoin.
I bet. Yeah. Goodness. Given how much Bitcoin the guy would have gotten at the end of the movie in terms of like cash, and how Bitcoin ended up doing later on, guy would have been rolling in the dough.
Gosh,
that would be so much money.
Yeah.
I mean, Bitcoin and crypto is not doing great now anymore, but
I was like, I didn't know absolutely nothing about it.
Yeah.
Wild. So A$AP Rocky auditioned and was cast for the movie as Dom so he was dating Chanel Iman at the time, and he would help her with her lines, and I guess when helping her with her lines was like, put me in the movie.
I should be in this movie. Yeah.
And so I thought he did a phenomenal job as Dom.
Yeah, I mean,
he has very little lines, but
funny because he's like a way more important character than she is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also don't know how true this is. My memory, maybe your memory will serve you better, so you can tell me if this is accurate.
Okay,
but
go for it.
Apparently, when Malcolm is I almost called him Miles because of Spider-Man. When Malcolm is in the office talking to AJ, and he sees the picture with Dom in it, apparently that's a picture of Iron Man 2. They just like pasted his face on it.
What? What are you talking? Wait, a picture. Wait. The picture of Dom?
Yeah, apparently it's like a clip from the picture is I guess scene from Iron Man 2, and they just put Dom's face on it.
I would need to go back and look at that because I have no clue what you're talking about. I remember the picture, but like the relation to Iron Man 2 is nada. I don't know what that's about.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's wild.
But that was a fact that I saw.
Okay.
Other than that, budget-wise, they spent $7 million. Opening weekend, they made about $6 million. Gross, they made $17 million. So not much, but you know.
What was the budget again?
$7 million.
Oh, wow. Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
They did a lot with that $7 million.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, questions for you.
All right, hit me.
Music is a big part of this movie.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite song from the 90s?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me my favorite song from the movie. Favorite song from the 90s?
That's a hard choice.
Yeah, I was not at all prepared for this question.
Yeah.
Favorite song from the 90s?
That's hard.
There's probably some song that I love that I don't even know was made in the 90s. Or maybe I do, and I just don't even associate it with the time period in which it was made.
Yeah.
I will say this morning we watched Darren's Dance Grooves, the commercial from like the early 2000s.
Yeah.
If anybody remembers the Dance Grooves video. And that resulted in, there's like, what's that song, like You Make Me Crazy by Britney Spears. He does like a little tutorial for that. And you were like cleaning the bathroom and you said, oh, I want to listen to that song now. And I put that song on, like from the album that it was on. And then the song that played after had this very specific sound that reminded me of, I have this playlist called That 90s Affection. And it's a playlist of songs that kind of like fit this specific sound that exists in my brain, that makes me think of like love in the 90s.
Yeah.
And there's like a Pokemon song on there. The Sailor Moon theme song's on there. There's
love that theme song.
There's a Backstreet Boys song on there, like As Long As You Love Me.
Yeah.
I put that Britney Spears song, whatever the name of it was, on that playlist.
Yeah.
And so while I cannot think of a specific song from the 90s, I will say in the 90s there is like this specific sound that's like, that was terrible. But there's just kind of like this soft, bubbly sound that's like, I don't even know if there's like a name for it.
Yeah.
But every time I hear a song that reminds me of that, it goes onto that playlist. And the playlist has like 7 or 8 songs now.
Yeah.
Building it up.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
Yeah.
I, as you were talking, was looking up some of my favorite songs just to make sure they were from the 90s. It's a hard one for me because I could go with the obvious choice, which is Aaliyah, who I'm named after.
Nice.
Love her music. Are You That Somebody? Love that song. However, when I read the question, my go-to was immediately Destiny's Child. But I was like, wait a second. But were they early 2000s? Because I think most of their music came out early 2000s. But they did have an album that came out in like 1999 that has like Jumpin', Jumpin', like all that. So I do
jump the house.
No. No.
That's a Smart House reference.
But at the same time, I do love California Love.
That is a great song.
Yeah. So a mix of those three.
I could always listen to Everybody Backstreet's Back by the Backstreet Boys. Like that song slaps. No, every time you hear it, it's great. So I could roll with that.
Yeah. I mean, you can't go wrong with Backstreet Boys. It's so like, I also agree with the fact that like, I think 90s hip hop is like the best hip hop.
Yeah.
But I was born late 90s. So I guess I'm not technically a 90s kid, but I feel like I'm a 90s kid because I grew up listening to everything that my sister listened to, because my sister's 8 years older than me. So she's like true 90s kid.
Yeah.
And so like I got like a dichotomy where I got all the like 90s pop from her. Like that's the most prevalent music in my mind because she was a big Spice Girls fan, like Britney Spears, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys. Like I was always stealing those CDs from her. However, my dad's a big hip hop person. So I like all these like 90s hip hop songs, while I don't like know the words like off the top of my head, like I know a lot of them and I appreciate them a lot because of him, because those were the things that he would play. So I feel like music wise, I have like in my mind a good catalog of like 90s music that I just love to listen to, and it feels so nostalgic to me even though I was born late 90s, which is always really fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Glad for my upbringing.
Yeah. My favorite 90s song is the SpongeBob theme song.
No, absolutely not.
The Power Rangers theme song.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Second question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
What is your favorite 90s style trend?
My favorite 90s style trend is the like chaotic, like what were we thinking kind of trend. Like if you look at movie logos, font choices that are like atrocious when you look back. I saw the cover of NSYNC's No Strings Attached album this morning while we were like listening to this music. Yeah, they're all on the puppet things.
Yeah.
And it's kind of got this, it's like brown.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's kind of like a wavy like flag that has No Strings Attached written in kind of like cowboy western letters. Mm-hmm. But then at the top, it says In Sync in like crisp sans serif, like italics with like a star, which stylistically does not fit the rest of the like album picture. And like it's that lack of unity that is like, it's not that I like it, it's that I enjoy it.
Got you. I was thinking more of like fashion style.
I don't, baggy pants, t-shirts under long sleeve shirts.
Got you.
Spiky hair.
Yes, like Justin Timberlake's like Robin Noodle hair.
Bleach
blonde tips.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think my favorite style trend is men in crop tops. You go back and you look at Adam Sandler in a freaking crop top. Oh my gosh, to die for. Freaking Will Smith in a crop top. I'm like, bring it back. Bring
there was
it back.
Like fishnet shirts.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
It was a thing. Tommy Hilfiger was real big too. I mean, Aaliyah's Tommy Hilfiger outfit, to die for. Need that whole outfit. But I feel like Tommy Hilfiger was a huge brand back in the 90s.
Yeah, I don't... There's a lot of like 90s counterculture aesthetic. So like gas masks and neon paint. That's fun.
That's fun. That's scary. I don't know. I love the 90s.
Yeah.
We have some great things.
Yeah. I like those, that cup, that like white cup. It's like I think it was like the Dixie cup, pattern at the time.
Oh,
like
with the blue and the purple.
White cup with the blue and the purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
Remember like tracksuit, that like blue and purple tracksuit that was like, what's that team, like the Jets or something like that? It's like everyone had that like windbreaker. Even if you didn't even if you had like no, if you weren't even a fan of the team, it feels like everyone owned some sort of windbreaker that was like that teal, blue, and purple.
Yeah.
That was just like the color of the 90s.
Yeah.
The combination.
The blue and the purple. Yeah.
That's so
What's
funny.
Up with
that? I don't know.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's so nostalgic.
Or like, just like solid color, like patterns that are like a solid color with then just some kind of gibberish nothing icon, but repeated in multiple different angles, like just rotated and just repeated a bunch of times on a pattern. Lots of that happening.
Yeah.
And t-shirts that were just stripes, like horizontal stripes, all from top to bottom.
Oh man, good times.
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
I like look back at pictures and I'm like, dang, I miss the 90s style.
For sure.
I mean, I feel like there's some of it that like we still do today, or brought back today, but still, I don't know.
Yeah. Any other facts or questions or thoughts on the movie?
That is all that I have.
All right. Shall we move on?
Let's.
All right.
Okay. So I was assigned the Transformers movie. Wait, what is it called? Transformers the movie?
It's technically called The Transformers the movie.
That doesn't make any
sense. Doesn't roll off the tongue.
Which was came out in 1986. And so, basically, this movie starts with half of the Autobots in space, most notably Optimus Prime and Ironhide, and half on Earth and a place called Autobot City. And our kind of main characters who are at Autobot City are Hot Rod and Cup. Oh, also...
Cup, that's right.
Yeah. I'm going to leave out a character... And you're going to be like, wait, you're not talking about this character. I'll come back to him. I will come back to him.
Daniel?
So. Yes.
Okay.
We'll get to him. So basically, Megatron and the Decepticons invade Autobot City. And I'm not entirely sure why at the beginning they invaded.
Decepticons and the Autobots are mortal enemies. Why wouldn't they be attacking them?
They just decided on this
That's
day,
literally,
we're going to invade.
It's the purpose of their whole existence, as far as I know, with
Okay.
the Transformers lore.
Got you. So they invade Autobot City, which results in Optimus Prime having to come to Earth to help in the battle. The battle results in Megatron and the Decepticons retreating, and Optimus Prime dies. But before he dies, he passes on the Matrix, which is like his heart, to an Optimus Prime lookalike, whose name I do not know.
Ultra Magnus.
And he's like, use this. It will be useful in a time when you need light or something like that. I don't know. Some cryptic stuff like that. So there he's like, I will. And so, yeah, he passes that on and dies. Meanwhile, there is a Death Star-like planet called Unicron, which for half the movie I thought was unicorn. And it wasn't until I really looked at the subtitles, I was like, oh, it's Unicron.
Yeah.
I was just reading it wrong. And this planet, Unicron, is like the Death Star, just like destroying planets. And so when Megatron and the Decepticons retreated, Megatron was very injured, and one of the Decepticons was like, we don't need you, and threw him off the ship. And he comes across Unicron, and Unicron's like, let me fix you.
Sorry, this is Megatron got thrown off his own ship?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so Unicron is like, I'll fix you, and fixes him, and he turns into Galvatron. I know. Confusing.
Yeah.
I hate that they change into different people.
Yeah, Megatron just becomes Galvatron, and his voice actor changes to Leonard Nimoy.
It's so dumb.
Also known as Spock.
Yeah.
And Unicron is voiced by Orson Welles.
Yeah.
Which might shock some people.
Yeah. And so Unicron is like, I fixed you, and now you are my slave, basically. And he's like, I need you to go get the, what's it called? The Matrix. He's like,
the Matrix of leadership.
He's like, go get me the Matrix. And Galvatron's like, I don't serve you. But then gets hurt by Unicron. It's like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So basically, this results in a goose chase where Galvatron ends up going back to the Decepticons, kills the guy who threw him out of the ship.
Starscream.
Yeah. And
big character.
Yeah, and he's like, I'm back, baby, and we have a task. We need to find the Autobots, get the Matrix, and bring it back to Unicron. So the rest of the movie is just this goose chase where the Megatron or Galvatron and the Decepticons are after all the Autobots. They kind of get split up and are doing various things. Mm-hmm. But ultimately, it results in a big battle between the Decepticons and Galvatron and the rest of the Autobots. At some point, Optimus Prime lookalike, what is he? What is his name?
Ultra Magnus.
Ultra Magnus.
So it took me a second.
Ultra Magnus dies as well. He sucked. And so now they
end up putting him back together.
Oh, I missed that part. Well, for a moment, he's injured. And
for a moment, it's like, oh, he's dead.
Yeah. And the Matrix then gets handed to Hot Rod. And Hot Rod becomes this big, magnificent thing. I don't know his new name.
His new name is ridiculous. It's Rodimus Prime.
Yes. He becomes Rodimus Prime.
Just Hot Rod, Rodimus Prime.
Yeah.
I can't get over that.
Yeah. And collectively, Rodimus Prime and the rest of the Autobots are successful in beating Unicron and Galvatron and the Decepticons. All the cons.
Yeah. If it ends with con, bad. If it ends with bot, good.
Yeah. And so they all win, and everything's great, and it was a wonderful movie. Now,
was it a wonderful movie? Is that?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I'll come back to my thoughts in just a second.
Okay.
Before we get to that, a character that I did not mention is Daniel, who is this little kid who is living on Earth, but his dad works with the Autobots in space and is currently in space.
His dad's name is Spike.
Yes. And
it's a weird name for the dad.
And there's really the reason why I didn't mention him in that whole synopsis because like he was unimportant. There's really no reason for him to even be in the story aside from, I'm assuming they were like, we need some sort of human child character for the kids watching this movie to relate to and see themselves in.
I think you are correct.
Yes, because the whole time I was like, take these humans out of this and it's a 10 out of 10 movie.
Wow.
But this kid is kind of annoying. I mean, he's all right. He's more of a liability in my opinion.
Yeah, they give him
helpful.
They give him an exosuit at one point, and he has to like will himself into figuring out how to transform.
Literally, I was like, all right, y'all. First things first, you should have been training him this whole time you've been on Earth so that in the event that this happened and the Decepticons came, which you probably knew was going to happen because they've probably been coming a million times, then he would be prepared and this would be the moment. But they just give him the suit and they're like, you'll get used to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, he's falling all over the place.
He's got to have some affinity for traversing in complex ways because he is on a hoverboard at the beginning of the movie. Granted, his like hoverboard immediately explodes and then Hot Rod just picks him up and is like, I'll drive you.
Yeah.
In that sequence at the beginning of the movie. But
yeah. He was unimportant and unnecessary. But overall, I really enjoyed this movie. I surprisingly liked it more than I thought I would. I think what really makes the movie for me and what made me enjoy it was there is 80s music playing in every single scene.
Non-stop.
There is not a moment of silence. There's not a moment where it's just characters talking. There is always some music, just like electric guitar in the background. And
it's like lyrics too.
Yes, lyrics as well. And it's awesome. I did not grow up with Transformers. That was not a toy that I gravitated towards. I really didn't know what Transformers was until the Shia LaBeouf movie came out. And that was because I was a big Shia LaBeouf fan. So having this music made it feel nostalgic for me. Like it brought me back to my childhood, even though I did not grow up in the 80s, even though I did not grow up with Transformers. I was like, oh yeah, this is so nostalgic. The animation's phenomenal. It's beautiful. I loved it. It's very colorful, which I really love.
It's very like colorful and simple yet complex.
Yeah. Yeah. And the whole time I was watching it, because I love the Shia LaBeouf Transformers, and I was like, I am really glad. I feel like Michael Bay like captured the essence of the cartoon version pretty decently, like pretty well, like down to the sounds of when they transform. Like obviously in the Michael Bay movie it's way more complex, like the sounds you hear, but I mean it's very similar to the sounds of when they transform in the cartoon, in the animation. I would say
Michael Bay captured all of the things that like make Transformers. Like you can change the voice of literally every character, but you can't change the voice of Optimus Prime. It has to be Peter Cullen doing Optimus Prime's voice because everybody just knows that's what Optimus Prime sounds like. Yeah. And I don't think there's really any other character in history that has only been voiced by one person and like has to be done by that person. Even Mickey Mouse has like changed hands multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah, well, does the same person voice Yoda? Like across?
Ooh, fair enough. But maybe not in like the Clone Wars.
Gotcha.
But I think like, because nobody knows who Peter Cullen really is. So I think like anything having to do with Transformers, like you just know, you got to have your Peter Cullen budget.
Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, even like down to, I feel like personality, like I feel like Ironhide in the animation is very similar to Ironhide in the like Michael Bay movie, like kind of like hot-headed, like guns blazing type of personality, which was nice to see. But yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun. It was just colorful. It was captivating. It wasn't like super long. Like it was a perfect length of a movie.
Yeah, like it's only like 80 something minutes.
Yeah. And I love, it's very like, there's a lot of, I feel like, Star Wars references. It's like, there's a lot of things that like reminded me of Star Wars, which I thought was cool. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, some not too many facts on this movie. I mean, there were a lot of facts. None that I was really interested in. There was a lot of facts that I was like, I would read it and immediately go like, okay. But the ones that I have are the ones that stood out to me. So apparently this movie actually underwent tons of rewrites. Like, they did not just have a unified vision from the jump on what this movie was going to be. They would write something and then rewrite it and then revise it and then rewrite it again. And it kind of just was a little bit of a mess, which kind of shows in the movie. Yeah. It's like there are some like simple beats, but it's like it's the small details that are a little bit all over the place. Like 14 characters got killed off in this movie, including Optimus Prime. Yeah. Now, the thing about Optimus Prime getting killed is that this was like the first time. This was a big deal. So this movie apparently bridges the gap between season 2 of the original cartoon and season 3. I also read that apparently this takes place 20 years after season 2, which I thought was kind of weird.
Wow.
Yeah. So I guess season 2 happens. Then just there's a 20-year time jump. This movie happens, and then season 3 takes place after the movie. And yeah, they killed off 14 characters of the show, including Optimus Prime, Ironhide, apparently Ratchet. There was a whole list, and I was like, "There's just too many to count here." Yeah. But they killed them all off.
I mean, they were just killing left and right.
Right, which was huge. You know, like. You've got literally the main character and all of his buddies who you're like going on these adventures with as a child. Yeah. A child. At
the same time, I mean,
and then you kill him off in the movie. You're like, whoa.
Yeah. Watching this as an adult, though, I was like, he's a car. Just fix him. Right. How is he dead? I don't get it. Just
change his engine.
Yeah. I was like, I don't get it. I was like, unless his transmission is broken, at that point, it's like, just get rid of him. I'm like, he can be fixed. He's just a little dented. Buff it out.
No. Yeah. It doesn't work like that in the train. They are symbiotic. I don't know.
I am surprised though that Optimus like doesn't come back to life like at the end, because that's what I said when we were watching the movie, because you were like, he's dead, and I was like, oh, he'll just come back to life.
No,
like,
yeah, he
I was
does
like,
not.
Why would they kill off the main character? Of the show?
No, he doesn't come back to life. Yeah. Although I will say, it does become a trend in anything Transformers, like any adaptation of Transformers after this, for Optimus to die at some point and then come back later. So like in the Michael Bay movies, that happens in Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. I think that's what it's called.
Which one was that?
That's the second one. So like he just straight up gets killed, and then like a whole bunch, they go to like
a robot.
Right? Yeah. But they go to Egypt at one point, and they're talking to like an old jet transformer, and he's like, oh, do this and it can bring back a prime.
He's like, we need a prime. Engine.
I don't even know. Yeah, but Optimus Prime comes back to life in that movie, and it's like a big thing.
Gotcha.
But that's in reference to this.
Got you. Once I don't remember the second one that much, and especially once Megan Fox left, I was like, nah.
Yeah, well, the second one was the one that had Megan Fox, but I would also say it's the worst of the whole franchise. Really? In my experience. I haven't seen the fifth one, but for me...
Oh my gosh, how many are there?
There's Transformers, Transformers Revenge of the Fallen, then Dark of the Moon, and then...
Is that when Mark Wahlberg is in it?
No. Mark Wahlberg's in the next one, which is called Age of Extinction. Nailed it.
Isn't that the animal one?
No. Oh. Age of Extinction, they introduced the Dinobots. So, like, Optimus Prime rides on the back of a T-Rex, like a robot T-Rex.
It just sounds so stupid.
Well, the Dinobots are in the movie that we watched.
Okay, yeah, but it's also it's anime, like it's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's a cartoon. So
it's like, that's cute.
But it was a big deal. Well, I mean, like not a big deal, but like in Age of Extinction, for them to be like, oh, hey, Dinobots now. It's like, oh yeah, that's right. It's actually really interesting because they kept like in the second Michael Bay movie, they add in the Constructicons, which are the ones, the Decepticons that come together to form the Devastator. which like the Constructicons were in the movie that we just watched too. So it was kind of like all these things that like in each new Michael Bay movie, they're like, oh yeah, we're going to do Galvatron. We're going to do the Constructicons, or which the Dinobots. This movie just has all of that, including the Insecticons, which I didn't see a Michael Bay Insecticon personally.
Maybe it's in this new one.
No. It's because this new one is called Rise of the Beasts. I'm not even done going through these yet. So we got Age of Extinction was the first Mark Wahlberg one, and then there's a second Mark Wahlberg one called The Last Night. I have not seen that one.
Got you.
Then they did Bumblebee, which is
is that canon? Is that a part?
That is canon.
Okay.
That's the Haley Steinfeld one. So this new one, Transformers: Rise of the Beasts, it serves more as like a sequel to the Haley Steinfeld Bumblebee movie.
Got you.
Because Bumblebee was in the 80s. Now Rise of the Beast is. He
time traveled, or like this is set back in the 80s?
No, there's no time travel. It's just set in the 80s.
Man,
No time travel. It's just set. It was set in the 80s, and then Rise of the Beasts is now in the 90s.
Okay.
So like, Sam Witwicky, Shia LaBeouf's character is like, he's just not in it anymore. Gotcha. Like this new Rise of the Beasts looks appealing to me because it's like classic simplified Optimus Prime design. Like all of the designs are kind of like harkening back to like this movie that we watched, rather than like the complicated Michael Bay ones that they ended up becoming.
Is Michael Bay is he the director for these?
No. So the last one he did was The Last Night, and then he's no longer directing anything in the franchise. So Bumblebee, did you see Bumblebee?
I did not, because I'm not a Haley fan.
Oh, that's fair. But I liked Bumblebee. I actually was like, oh, cool. If they keep making them like this, then I could be excited to see Transformers again. We're not going to go see Rise of the Beasts in a theater, but once it's available, like I'll totally watch it. But like Transformers: The Last Night, I'm good.
Yeah. Got you. I think I saw up to the third one. I think I saw the third one, and then I was like, I'm bored. I'm tired of Transformers. That's all the same.
Yeah. I mean, of the Michael Bay ones, I would rank it like the first one's the best because that's a legitimately great movie. And then the third one, which is not bad, it's just like chock full of stuff. A lot that doesn't serve the plot, but is just fun, I guess. And then the fourth one, the Mark Wahlberg one, and then the second one. And then the fifth one doesn't even qualify because I haven't seen it, which maybe speaks to its quality. Yeah. And then, but like Bumblebee, I would probably say like the first Transformers and then Bumblebee.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, there's Autobots everywhere picking people.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck?
Well, back to this movie real quick. Actually, here,
is there Autobot City in any of the Transformers?
No. Yeah, no. That's ridiculous. Autobot City, like no way.
It literally got destroyed 2 seconds into the movie.
I know. I mean, it must have been a thing in the TV show, but
yeah,
it was literally just like a big metal base in the mountains.
Yeah.
Autobot City.
So why can't it be in the movies?
Who knows? So I'll talk about Daniel and Spike real quick. I had no idea. They don't allude to this at all in the movie, but guess what? Daniel and Spike's last name is
Witwicky.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. For those that don't know or haven't picked up on it yet, Shia LaBeouf's character, his last name is Witwicky, Sam Witwicky.
Are you ladies man 237 or whatever it is?
Yeah, so that his character is in reference to, I guess, Daniel and Spike.
Way better than Daniel.
Yeah. I didn't look up if there was a Sam Witwicky like anywhere outside of the Michael Bay movies, but yeah. So there's that. Apparently Spike is the dad, and apparently Spike also has a dad, but they don't mention him in the movie. And apparently, and this is, I'm not even kidding, what it said, his dad's name is Sparkplug Witwicky.
Wow.
Like, how do you go from Sparkplug to Spike, like, okay, I could believe that. To Daniel, like, okay.
Silly.
It's just so weird.
Like, why did he leave his child in this robot town? Like, I mean, I guess if he's gonna be safe anywhere, it would be with Autobots. But like, Spike, who's feeding Daniel? Who's like making sure he's doing his homework?
Spike's character, he's the dad.
Yeah,
I get him mixed up. Spike's whole character is that he is on Cybertron Moon 2 or whatever with Bumblebee. And I'm assuming they're doing research or supporting the Cybertronian Society.
Someone called Child Services.
Yeah, I don't know. Cybertron is the home of the Transformers. But yeah, I don't know. Daniel is just hanging out on in Autobot City on Earth. Yeah, you would think that the kid's name would be Spike, just given the name Spike. But I don't know. Maybe Spike was, given that this is like 20 years after season 2, maybe Spike was a character in the show. Mm-hmm. And then it was a 20-year time jump, and now he's like older.
They were like,
and then they give him a kid. Yeah. And it's Daniel.
Well, who's the mom?
Who knows? I don't know.
An Autobot.
I don't know. Speaking of female characters, so one of the writers of Transformers, like the toy company that makes Transformers, I think it's Hasbro or Mattel.
It's Hasbro. I'm pretty sure on the credits that's what.
Okay. Their whole thing was that Transformers is marketed to young boys.
Yeah. So
they're not going to make any female Transformers.
Wow.
Yeah, that was like a requirement. And then one of the writers for Transformers had to advocate super hard for them to make a female Transformer because his daughter was a big fan of Transformers and he wanted a Transformer for his daughter to enjoy.
Yeah.
So in the second season of Transformers, they did create more female Transformers. Yeah. The most popular of which is RC, who is in this movie. Mm-hmm. But an interesting fact about RC, well, it's kind of a sad fact. But like RC, despite being like the one female Transformer in this movie, they never made a toy out of her for this movie. They made a toy out of everything else, but they didn't ever make a toy out of her. And it wasn't until 2014. No joke. 2014 that they made a toy based on RC from this movie specifically, like this design.
Did they make female Transformer toys? They just didn't make her? Or like they did not make a female Transformer at all?
I'm pretty sure they made female Transformers toys like later on, like in the 90s. Because I watched Transformers Beast Wars, which Rise of the Beasts is loosely based on Beast Wars. And there were female Transformers in that, or at least one that I can think of, that I'm pretty sure they made a toy out of. So, like, I don't think this was necessarily the first female Transformer toy that came out in 2014, but it's like the first female Transformer at all. Yeah. And then they finally made a toy.
Wow.
In 2014.
Literally boycotting. That makes me so upset.
But also, now, fun fact, Rise of the Beasts, RC is in this movie.
Wow.
Yeah. And there's a specific shot in the trailer where I'm like, because I saw the design of the character in the trailer. Then when we watched this, I was like, oh, that looks exactly like that character in the new trailer. And it was the same character. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then that's good on the new design then for being faithful to the original.
I'm very glad her car that she transforms into was actually a cool car. When we were watching the movie, I was like, watch she transform to a moped. I was like, if they give her a lame vehicle, I'll be upset. But it was pretty dope.
Yeah. All right, what else we got in here? Okay, here we go. So apparently the marketing, animation, and toy departments were not working together.
That doesn't surprise me.
Which, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but that is wild.
Yeah.
So like Hot Rod was kind of a newer character.
Mm-hmm.
So the animation team, they didn't know what color Hot Rod was supposed to be. It's a little complicated. So the toy company was going to make him magenta, but then in the early prototypes, they like misprinted and made him like pink and like not burgundy, but I mean basically like or like pink and purple. And then so he was like supposed to be magenta, ended up being pink and purple, but then the marketing department was putting out like, you know, pre-release images of him being like hot red and like burgundy. So the animation department had no idea what color he was supposed to be. So in the movie originally, Hot Rod, just based on what shot it was, he was switched between being more burgundy or more magenta. And then the company that owned the license to the movie in the 2000s ended up hiring a post-production company to then redo all of the shots with Hot Rod to make it the original prototype colors of the pink and purples, just to make it consistent, which is like, you know, we didn't notice that because we watched a re-release version of it.
Yeah.
But like the fact that they are making this movie, and this is like the big new character. So I did read that the fact that this was going to be the big new character, and he was, you know, becoming Rodimus Prime, that was supposed to be a big surprise for literally everybody. So they were kind of really being really hush-hush about that, which only made the situation more complicated for everybody, because there was nobody communicating about like, what color is this character supposed to be?
Yeah. So the toy existed before.
The prototype toy existed.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Got you. So the toy people made the toy with a certain color scheme in mind. Started creating marketing stuff with different colors in mind. And so when they're animating, they're like, we don't know which it's supposed to be, and they do both.
It's only more complicated by the fact that the toy company, they said, "Oh, we're gonna go with magenta," and then
they
accidentally
it.
they accidentally printed it pink.
Yeah.
And then marketing wants red, and so as the animation department, you're like, "What do you do?" So it sounds like they were like, well, I guess we'll go with what the toy line had in mind, which was the magenta, but then sometimes we'll do the burgundy, which is what the marketing department is doing, only for them to re-release the movie later and go with like the accidental color scheme, which is the pink.
You know, I would love to, if anyone has recommendations for documentaries about like toy companies. I mean, I've seen on Netflix the like docu-series, like The Toys That Made Us, which kind of dive into like the toy companies. But like, I feel like toy companies have so much stuff going on in the background that's so crazy and wild, and like some stuff messed up. Like, it's like real, just insane, which is crazy because like, it's like toys, it's fun, and it's kids, and like in the background there's just like so much stuff going on. It always seems so chaotic.
Well, it's really interesting when you have these big franchises that are marketed a certain way that are also their secondary plan, which in a lot of cases is actually the primary plan, is to sell a lot of toys.
That's where the money comes from.
Exactly. Like Star Wars has made way more money. I want to say like 10 times as much money from their merchandising than the actual movies made in the box office. So like, that is where all the money comes from. So part of the reason that ties into this movie being an example of the motivation of the toy company bleeding into what the script of the movie is. Because yes, it's like a big like, whoa, this is dark. They're killing like all of the main characters, and like Optimus Prime is dying, and it's like, all right, we're maximizing the story emotions for the audience to like make the most out of the story, but secretly they are building themselves an opportunity to now just make entirely new toys. They're like, okay, all those characters, old, done, literally dead. And now we have these new characters. Don't you want to buy Rodimus Prime?
It's just so interesting how decisions get made. Like, you have these, like, oftentimes, like, old white men who are deciding a 8-year-old boy wants this.
I mean, I'm sure they do some market
testing.
research.
Yeah, they do testing. But, like, still, you know, like, it's just all these, like, adults deciding what a child wants. Yeah. And, like, I don't know. It's interesting.
It's weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
The toy industry. If anyone works in the toy industry, reach out to us.
Yeah. I mean, it is really interesting because, like, when you watch The Toys That Made Us and they talk about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, for example, like, that is a franchise that is just made to be rebooted. Like, there is no canon Ninja Turtles because it's like they will make Ninja Turtles in a certain style, see it all the way through until people are burnt out on it, and then redo it again.
Yeah.
And it works every time. It's like every generation of kids has their generation of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of cool, though.
No, I honestly think it's very cool. And it's genius. I mean, to have a franchise that can do that,
sustain that long,
people will always be interested, or like kids will always be interested in the new version of it. Like, you don't even need to kill them off and bring in new turtles like they do with Transformers. You just reboot it.
But it's always interesting to see which generations, like, don't work, like which generation of toy people are like, oh, and then it, like, falls off and they're like, oh no, we're in, like, a financial crisis, we need something to save us, and then they, like, regenerate a new generation that, like, is more successful. So it's always interesting to see, like, what didn't work, like, what did they try and push the boundaries on, and everyone was like, absolutely not.
Well, I guess one other thing I want to say is I mean, Transformers, they did reboot a few times, right? Like, is
there a cartoon now?
There might be. I don't know. But, you know, there was the original Transformers show, which is what this falls under. But then there are other Transformers things. Like I said, I grew up watching Transformers Beast Wars, which was 3D animated in the 90s. Ooh. If you can believe that, looking back on that animation, it is insane. It looks bad, like really bad. But I loved it. I watched it so much. You know, you had Rat Trap, who was one of the characters. You had Optimus Primal. He was like a gorilla. You had Megatron, but, like, I don't know, he probably had some other name.
Scorpion.
Yeah. Instead of being the Autobots, I think they called themselves the Maximals.
That sounds way cooler than Autobots. Autobots unite.
Like, they just had a lot going on. They could turn into they were robots, but they could also turn into, like, robot-shaped animals. Or, sorry, animal-shaped robots. But then they could just straight up turn into the animal itself.
I am interested, even though the movie, what is it called? The new one that's
Rise of the Beasts?
Yeah, even though that doesn't interest me per se, I would be interested to see how, like, visual effects wise, because, like, animals are much more fluid than cars. So I'm like, what is their movement like? And I guess I could just watch a trailer. You can. And, like, I'm, like, curious as to, like, what their movements are and, like, if it makes sense, you know?
I mean, based on what I recall from the trailer, they've got Cheetor and Optimus Primal in, you know, gorilla robot and cheetah robot mode, and looks good to me.
Backtrack. Do they transform into these animals? What are they before?
Robots.
So they look like the robots that we've seen in the other ones, and then they just turn into animals. I guess they do that in a few of the other movies too.
I mean, we could watch the trailer after this, but, like, there's
back.
Optimus Prime, who turns into a truck, and then there's Optimus Primal, who's an entirely different character in this movie, because believe me, as a kid, I thought they were the same.
You're like, he could do everything.
Yeah, right. He could do it all. Truck, gorilla, wow. Optimus Primal turns into a gorilla. So
I guess I take it back, because there are, like, animal like animal. What do you just call their species? Robots, I guess. Transformers. Sorry. I blinked.
That's the name of their species.
I blinked. There are like animal like Transformers in the earlier, like the Shia LaBeouf movies too. Like the
there's like a pterodactyl. Oh yeah, what is that? Scorponok.
He has a name?
Yeah.
Wow.
I paid a lot of attention to the early marketing for that movie. I was just so stoked on that first Transformers movie.
Yeah.
When they made it.
Yeah.
I watched all the behind the scenes.
Wow.
I saw it in theaters 3 times.
Let me tell you.
I was so excited.
This is going to show how old we are. So Transformers was also one of my favorite movies. I would take the DVD, and we had a portable DVD player, and every time we made long trips, I would just watch Transformers over and over on this like little portable DVD
player.
Solid.
Do
you remember those?
Yeah.
Wow. Even to cheerleading competitions, I'd be sitting in the lobby with a portable DVD player.
So I owned the like special edition DVD. Wow. Which came in honestly, looking back, it's an insane way to sell a DVD, but it didn't come in a classic DVD case. Mm-hmm. It came in this like big plastic Optimus Prime figurine that had a disc tray like on its back.
Wow.
That you could like pop open.
Yeah.
But there was like legs that you could flip open and then like pop open its feet, and there was arms that you could pull out. And then you just flip up the Optimus Prime head, and it would be a standing like Optimus Prime figure, but like with a really boxy torso because it still had to be like a DVD case. Yeah,
that's super cool and also so inconvenient. Like if you want to take that movie somewhere. You're gonna take the whole Optimus Prime.
No, and it's like it could easily pop, like the back that held the CD could pop open super easily.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. We're gonna look that up. I want to see that for my own eyes because that's wild.
I remember it like it's like singed into my mind. I know exactly which parts pull out and everything.
Yeah. That movie's just so good.
Yeah.
It's
it is
so
great.
Good.
All right. Well, as far as like the actual Transformers the movie, like the one that we just watched, I guess all that I can say is that it's pretty weird to me that Orson Welles does the voice of Unicron.
Who is Orson Welles?
So Orson Welles is like a famous actor,
I'm gonna look him up.
Director, writer. I don't know if he wrote and directed. He might have. He probably did. He's just like an influential guy of the 20th century. He was in Citizen Kane. I'm pretty sure he did like radio talk shows or like teleplays.
Yeah.
He's just like a big deal. And he does the voice of Unicron, and he passed away. This is apparently his final movie.
Wow.
And he died 5 days after he recorded his lines for this movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the stuff he's been in aside from War of the Worlds, which I don't know if he was in or directed.
No, that's like the classic War of the Worlds. You're thinking of
this is the Tom Cruise one.
He's not in. No.
This is literally on his page, on his movies page.
No, you're looking at Google. That's not necessarily
factually
correct.
Maybe he had a role in it.
No, Orson Welles died in 1985. 1985. I just said like he died 5 days after recording his lines for the 1986 Transformers movie.
I'm sorry. It's been a long day.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they used his voice for something. You know, maybe he was the alien.
Okay. Maybe.
I mean, Michael Jackson like comes out with an album after his death.
Okay.
You know.
Yeah, I could believe. Like Tupac, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could believe that. Orson Welles was in the original War of the Worlds, like the Google's probably confused. It's like, oh, War of the Worlds. It's probably thinking of the Tom Cruise one.
In the movie, they were watching the old War of the Worlds.
Oh my gosh! All right, whatever. Anyway,
I haven't seen the Tom Cruise one in a really long time.
Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not. I saw it in theaters when it came out, and I was scared.
Yeah, same. Like, very scary.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, I asked you earlier if you had seen The Godfather, And the reason for this being that there are parallels to The Godfather in this movie's plot.
Even more so than Star Wars?
Well, I don't even know what... I mean, okay, there are parallels. Somebody wrote like a parallels analysis about Star Wars as well, about like... I think probably Optimus Prime is like Obi-Wan Kenobi or something, and... Galvatron is Darth Vader, and then
I mean, you have like the Death Star. There's literally
Hot Rod would be like Luke Skywalker.
There's literally a scene where it looks like the scene where when they're defeating the Death Star, where it's like the fighter jets or whatever, like going through that alleyway.
I mean, that had that obviously had to be a reference to Star Wars, but the parallels to Godfather. So, like, just to quickly describe what happens in the first Godfather movie, if you don't mind me spoiling a 50-year-old movie. But like, Don Vito Corleone dies. He's like
cool
the
name.
Godfather. Yeah,
I wish that were my name.
No, yeah, it's great. Great name. The Godfather. He like basically dies near the beginning of the movie, and then his eldest son has to take over and assume the responsibility, but then is like proves to not be capable and gets gunned down, and then the youngest son, Michael, ends up taking over the business and flourishing. So in this case, Optimus Prime is the Godfather. He passes it to Ultra Magnus, who gets his butt whooped. And then
I didn't even
Hot
bother
Rod,
learning his name.
the young one with potential, rises up to become, the Godfather.
Wow.
Rodimus Prime, the Rod Father.
No, I hate it.
Oh gosh,
I hate it.
And that's all I have on this movie.
Wow.
Yep.
What a wild ride.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, because honestly, like when I know, at first I was like, oh, I'm so into this, like the music and like the fact that it feels like a nonstop music video. I'm loving this. And then I got burnt out probably at like minute 55.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God.
Honestly, it is a bit blurry for me what happens, especially when they were in that like on that like junk planet.
Yeah, the junk planet part was like,
I don't know what's going on.
This is not important.
Yeah. I was a bit sleepy. You were trying to keep me up. You're like, lift your head. I was like, I'm awake.
Yeah. I was like, Daniel just transformed. And you're like, who?
I was like,
yeah.
I was like, who? What?
Yeah.
I was only asleep for like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And that's during.
No,
that
I don't
scene.
think you missed anything.
Yeah. No. But I mean, overall, looking at it as a whole, I was like, that was really cute and like cool.
I think like not even the writers, like I think the writers had fun writing some of the characters, but I think like there were just some characters that they were obligated to include. Like there's a small character called Wheelie at one point that just does not serve the plot, and I'm pretty sure one of the writers in the trivia that I read said that like he just described that character as a pain in the butt, because he was like, what am I supposed to do with this annoying character? You gotta put it in here somewhere.
Yeah.
Because the toy company is probably giving them orders.
Gosh, the toy company.
Yeah.
They rule the world.
Yep. And
I'm really sad it didn't start off with, in the beginning there was the Matrix.
The Matrix of leadership. Oh yeah, some other facts that I read actually were that the Matrix of leadership was like not even added in until way later on in the writing process. Like originally it just didn't exist. It was something else entirely. And then they were like, all right, let's just write in this MacGuffin for like leadership, and they just pass it along.
It is weird. And I was like, because like in my mind, Matrix means one thing. And so then like Optimus Prime says something about the Matrix, and I was like, what? And you were like, don't think about it.
Well, because when he's dying, he's like, I will soon be one with the Matrix.
Yeah. And I was like, a computer?
Yeah.
I was
like
what? A simulation?
That version of the Matrix didn't exist until the movie, which came out in 99.
I mean, matrices, you use them in math, like
you use them in statistics.
It has all kinds of meanings. So like I was trying to like think deeper about it when really it's just this thing.
Matrix is one of those words that can mean whatever you want it to mean.
I hear hear Matrix and I want to run away. Anytime I'm in a stats class, he's like, Matrix. I'm like, bye.
No.
Yeah,
no. Those are confusing.
I don't even like the Matrix movies.
Okay, well, now you're taking it a step too far. The first one's great.
I can't get into it.
Whatever. All right, well, let's wrap things up.
Yes.
All right. Oh, wait, real quick, actually, just to make a comment on my experience having watched this movie prior. So again, I watched Transformers Beast Wars as a kid. That was my introduction to Transformers, and it was like 3D animated, and I thought that was the coolest thing because, you know, video games were the only other thing that were 3D animated at the time, and like Toy Story, which was probably like my favorite movie. And then my mom, for one of my birthdays, I think I was in like kindergarten or first grade, got me the Transformers the movie on DVD, and we watched it, and I did not like it.
Wow.
Because I thought the animation was old, and Optimus Prime died. And I was like,
turn it off.
Yeah. No, like I actually, like as a kid, I thought it was boring.
Yeah.
But then as an adult growing up, I kind of was like, oh yeah, I remember that Transformers movie. Like they killed Optimus Prime. Like that's kind of nuts.
Yeah.
And then when I would like look it up, it was like well rated. Like it has like a 7.2 on IMDb. I'm like, oh, that's not bad. And like people do reflect positively on this movie. So like, yeah, I was like, okay, we got to rewatch it. And I'm glad we did. I'm glad that it wasn't too tough on you to watch this.
No, sorry, my eyes like twitching. It's driving me nuts.
You're good.
No, yeah, I am pleasantly surprised by it.
Same.
I did not think I would like it. And we were talking about our next assignments coming up, and I was like, don't like pause on the children's like animation movies because like after freaking Bionicle and like and then after the kangaroo thing, I was like, I need a break.
Warriors of Virtue. There's a lot of childhood stuff.
Yeah, and I think we had that conversation before we started Transformers.
Yeah,
and then we watched Transformers, and I was like, oh, I actually really enjoyed that. I'm glad. I mean, I still want that break, but like, I'm glad that this is like the last one I've seen.
Yeah. I mean, this I assigned to you because the new movie was coming out.
Yeah.
But now, like, by the time this podcast comes out, it'll have been like a week and a half since that movie got released. So we didn't maybe quite capitalize on that viewership, but whatever.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Good pick.
Thanks. I'm glad it ended up being good.
Yeah.
All right. Assignments.
You go first.
You want me to assign first? Okay. So I told you that because you said in our bonus episode 2 that you wanted me to assign you more martial arts movies. I made a whole list of martial arts movies because I'm like, I view all my assignments in different categories. Like I put like childhood movies in its own category, and for some reason I've given you like 3 of the last 6 are all like childhood movies. Yeah. So I'm like, all right, I need to diversify and get these martial arts movies back in here because I've only actually given you 2 martial arts movies.
Yeah.
Like movies that you would straight up just call a martial arts movie. I've given you action movies that have martial arts in them. Doesn't quite count.
Yeah.
So just like I made a list of like 11 martial arts movies, and so I'm gonna be giving you, I'm sprinkling some more of these in here. It's just, they're also action movies, so they do have to be mindful of that as well. But anyway, I'm starting super simple. You might be kind of surprised that I'm doing this, but I think it's the right way to start on more martial arts movies, which is to give you a movie that I literally just watched last week, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, called Bloodsport. Which like I enjoy so much that I would easily watch it again with you, this week. It's only like 80-90 minutes.
This is the one that I like.
You walked in on me watching it, and you thought I was watching softcore porn.
No, you said you were.
Oh, that's right. No, it was a joke. Yeah, it was a joke.
He was like butt naked, and I was like,
"Are
you
really?"
That's
right. We could talk about it next week because the way that it is filmed in certain scenes, it was like it just kind of had this like aesthetic to it. And you walked in, and I was like, "Oh, that would be really funny if I joked that I was watching softcore porn." But then it cut to Jean-Claude Van Damme because he like always has to show his butt in every movie that he's in, and it happened to like cut to the one shot where he's like pulling up his underpants.
And I was like, are you really? Yeah. In the family movie?
I was like, oh, snap. Okay. No. I'm watching a martial arts movie.
I mean, do you? I'll leave.
Yeah. We can talk more about it next week.
That was really funny.
Okay. But yes, Bloodsport, Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And I'm trying to of all these martial arts movies, I'm kind of picking out like, okay, like this guy is the main character of Van Damme is the main dude here, or like Donnie Yen was the main dude in Ip Man, and Jackie Chan was the main dude in Rumble in the Bronx. So I'm trying to be like, okay, like let's get, at least 2 movies of all of these different stars so that you can over time get an appreciation for the pantheon of martial arts stars.
I am pretty
in their works.
Yeah, I am pretty shocked that you're giving me this one. I was kind of hoping for a Bruce Lee movie.
So I haven't actually watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies. I've actually only seen Enter the Dragon, and I think that's it.
I mean, I haven't seen
and
that.
I don't even.
I'm like, give me Bruce Lee. I want Bruce Lee.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Enter the Dragon is not my favorite movie.
Have you seen a movie with Michelle Yeoh? I want a Michelle Yeoh martial arts movie.
I actually haven't seen a lot of those either.
I'm assigning you to watch those, so you can assign me.
We can just watch those on our own time.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
She is in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
Yeah, that has been on my want to watch list for so long.
Yeah, I wrote that one down.
Okay.
I'm not planning to assign it for probably another year, but
I'm just gonna watch it.
I have a prerequisite movie to assign you before
if I just watch it, will you be mad?
No, but I think it could be an interesting conversation. But I obviously you watch whatever you want. It's like I feel like we just gotta always be mindful of watching movies outside of the podcast. Like we watched Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers last night and this morning because it's a 4-hour extended edition movie. And like prior to watching it last night, that was on my list of things to assign you because as a sequel, as a follow up on like, hey, it's been a year since we watched Fellowship of the Ring. Now let's do Two Towers. And then last night I was like, you know what? No, I don't care. And like, what are we going to talk about? Lord of the Rings again? No, we've already had that episode. We'll just watch it and we can talk about Lord of the Rings on the side. Yeah. But yeah, no, I don't know. Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Like, I don't know. I want to read the trivia.
Okay. Well, I won't watch it
then. But it's up to you. Like, obviously, like I'm, that will just disqualify it from the podcast. But like, whatever. I'm not going to hold it against you.
Yeah. I mean, I understand. I also feel like sometimes I kind of want to watch movies together. That's like not on the podcast too. Because I think when I'm sitting down and I'm watching it for the podcast, I'm thinking about things differently than if I were just sitting and watching it,
I mean, yeah. What I've been doing for the last few is just like putting my phone down, like not taking notes anymore, and just watching the movie.
I agree with that because I also have not been taking notes when we watch it, or I'll start taking notes and I stop after like 10 minutes. Because I like that now that we're doing these like synopsis before. Yeah. It's like, I can just go back and look at the summary of the movie, or I can go back and like get the key points, and I don't feel the pressure to have to know everything that happened in the movie. Yeah. Because I think before we were trying to make sure we touched on every single detail of the movie. Right.
Which honestly comes off a little like more, not less engaging, I guess.
Yeah, it's really boring. Yeah. Because then we're just like talking about every detail
like,
when you can just go watch it.
That happened.
Yeah, and you can just go watch it. And so it is really nice now to just sit and enjoy the movie.
Yeah. I'll write out my summary from memory, and if there's anything that I can't exactly remember, like a name or something, I'll go and look it up.
Yeah.
But like writing the summary from memory, I think is almost like my way of processing in words, like my perception of the movie when I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so Bloodsport, what are you assigning?
Yes. So because I knew you were going to assign me a martial arts / action movie.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to burp. I decided that I wanted to give you just something really silly. I've been waiting to assign you this anyway. I think summertime's a great time to assign it.
All right.
I feel like I got a reminder about it.
What do we got? What is it going to be?
I'm going to give you Wild Hogs.
Oh, yeah, okay. No, I knew this was coming.
I'm very interested because a part of me just feels like it is not going to age well. I mean, it's not even that old of a movie, but like, I don't know.
No, it's almost a 20-year-old movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like what, 2005, 2006?
I don't know.
It's like Tim Allen,
Martin Lawrence, John Travolta,
and William H. Macy.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm
coupled with a Van Damme movie.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it.
Yeah. Cool.
Maybe my mom will watch it with us because she loved Wild Hogs when it came out.
Oh my gosh. Wild Hogs, like, this exists in my memory, like the ads that I would see for it with like Ice Age 2 and the Meltdown, you know? Like, that's...
Yeah, I feel like when this movie came out, I don't know, I like was not in, I was like all these old, because I was young, I was like all these old men, I don't care. I mean, I do love me some Martin Lawrence. Sure. But like I didn't care about John Travolta, I didn't care about like Tim Allen. But then I like one day was just sitting with my mom and she was like, let's watch Wild Hogs. And we watched it and I was like, this was actually kind of funny.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, we will talk about it next week. We will be doing Bloodsport and Wild Hogs. That matchup seems to make sense in my head. I could see it written down.
It's very masculine.
Fun. I always love masculine.
You're like, yes.
Hey, we have...
Bring me the testosterone.
Yeah, I mean, we have masculine episodes, and sometimes we have, I don't know, life size. So, you know, it can go either or.
Yeah.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next week. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and hopefully it didn't go too long. Bye.
Bye.